Bombing with a heli is, well, funky. You neither have the speed nor the altitude to do it from standoff, nor the ability to carry the big boys, and in DCS, it's only the dumb bombs. The Ka-50 was cleared to carry bombs and KMGUs from fairly early on, and even authorized to use in the Black Shark movie. And I've seen mention in the Ka-52's authorized weapons for napalm as well. That said, I don't recall seeing any references to their use or how they were tested, and the ED manual states that there's no bomb release point calculation. Assuming by that they mean impact point, who knows, maybe the Pipper gets patched away if they start working on the Ka-50 again at some point. Maybe. But for now, this works. Let's say you had to be that guy. There's two ways about it. Straight and level, sort of CCIP, and dive bombing. There's a video in Russian covering it, I'll link. Alternately, there's one from Banjo who links that Russian one. Essentially add altitude and laser ranging to Banjo's technique to increase the accuracy. The basic gist is to have the helicopter fly towards the saved target in route mode with altitude hold on. Set your schwal to gunsight, then watch the Abras yellow tracking gate zoomed in till it's near the target. Laser range and release when you think the target flashes by on the camera beneath you. Easier if you're higher up, as it won't just flash by your x7 zoom soda straw vision. But then again, these are unguided bombs, so more chances the bomb will drift off target the higher you are. Heading hold already has a 1 degree margin of error, meaning you might not even pass over the target with your autopilots flying. So while it might keep you a little safer further from the target area up high, your head's down, not watching for threats, and yeah, mixed results in accuracy unless it's, say, a large building. The alternative, dive bombing, is dangerous. You'll be delivering the bomb in person on target, practically close enough for them to sign the receipt, with a high risk of getting shot at and a chance you'll go splat or frag yourself with your own explosions. I'd recommend this only if the area is already cleared of threats and you wanted the best accuracy for your strike, so say a small bunker. I definitely recommend using Vichers against tanks, not to mention they often shoot at you. But I have a few examples of stationary tanks here just to show you that you can hit even such a small target with some consistency. Now I could be wrong, but with some experimentation it seems that speed is more valuable than altitude in terms of getting the HUD to show the predicted impact point. Here I'm up high, diving in from far away, but as you'll see I need an extreme nose down pitch before the Pipper creeps up. This skyrockets your speed to unsafe levels and makes it harder to pull out in time. And at some point, limitations on how far forward you can push the cyclic to dive more creep in, which is probably only alleviated by lowering collective, which reduces maneuverability and makes you fall faster. So instead, I'm recommending going fast, as in 250 kph airspeed or a little more. Here I'm packing 4 500k bombs and full guns, but reduced fuel load. This helps keeping my collective from going too high, which becomes a real risk at that airspeed. My guesstimate is that 80% collective or less keeps you fairly safe from some overspeeding if you don't maneuver too aggressively. Sometimes in the footage you will see me go to 90%, exceed it a little bit. Combine that with a shallow dive from about 280 meters altitude. That way you're only 16 degrees pitch down, so a lot of your lift is still directed at keeping you from dropping into the bomb's blast zone without overspeeding too rapidly, and also getting the Pipper on the HUD quickly. When I said 280 meters altitude, I mean above target, or more specifically, the impact point. If you're bombing a 12-story building on the roof, add a few meters to that altitude so you don't end up in the blast. So on a flat plane, when you're 280 meters above ground running in on a bunker, then yeah, you'll be at the right altitude. If it's undulating terrain, you'll probably need to figure out the target's altitude via the ABRIS info over them, or their target point, F10 map, good guessing, etc. Then add 280 meters to that, which will be your target's barometric altitude before entering the dive. There's some play in what you can do. And either way, since the HUD changes to barometric altitude usually at 300 meters above ground or higher, and you might be skirting the zone, consider using the altimeter dial on your dashboard if you find the HUD switching to be distracting. Ideally, have the target already selected as a nav target point or data link target set to DL ingress, so that your ranging on the HUD shows you how far out you are from the target. Ensure your ballistics is set correctly for your bomb. See the linked video if necessary. Weapons power, master arm on. You definitely want manual mode, since this technique, or at least my parameters for it, will take you below the 300 meter minimum altitude restriction for 500 kg bombs and maybe beneath 200 meters for the 250 kg bombs. If you can, contrast lock and laser range the target, although this isn't absolutely necessary. Lock it with moving ground target on if for some crazy reason it wasn't a static target. Altitude hold, especially barometric altitude hold, can be used if you like. I guess you could use route mode towards a selective nav target or daylink target, but I'm not sure that'll help. Auto turn is a definite no-no because of this next step. Switch from automatic tracking to gunsight mode. Linked video explaining that. Now, sometime before reaching the target, select your bomb weapon pylon. This, combined with gunsight, will draw your schwal down beneath you and off the HUD towards the predicted impact point. Unlike the CCIP-like bombing in the Banjo and Russian Dudes video, you're not bombing looking at the TV. You're doing this purely because between the target you see out the canopy or the heading tape notch up top and the carré deviation in the schwal, you can see which way the wind and angles are pulling your bomb. So heading tape slightly left of your present heading with a schwal pointed slightly right means that you're both angling to the right, and the bomb will fall to the right due to wind, side slip, and or bank probably. Keeping your altitude. When you get to 0.8 kilometers in the HUD, dive down to about 16 degrees. A moment later, the pipper will start pulling up from below. If you've already compensated for wind a little before this, then hopefully the pipper is already on the vertical path with the target. Now you can reduce pitch so the pipper stays near the edge of your view, and just before it touches your desired impact point, hold weapon release. If you've been descending to within 150 meters of the impact point, immediately pull up after the bomb's release. Otherwise, do it more smoothly. Importantly, for this dive, excessive banking will make you drop faster, and any weird movement you do during release will impart some momentum of that to the bombs. Secondly, I recommend you either flying level in relation to your nose or climbing, not sinking. For example, if you were flying nose levelish, probably 1 degree pitch down for that high airspeed, find yourself way above the 280 meters above ground target guideline and decided to just lower collective to reduce the altitude, you're sinking. Now, if that's the case, when you pitch forward, you drop into that blast zone really quickly. If however your altitude is stable while you're nose level, or you're level and climbing a bit, then when you pitch down, you aren't sinking as fast. So a more controlled experience waiting for the pipper to be lined up on target and less worry about the blast zone. And again, there's some play around here. You could even be 10 degrees nose down, but with a high collective, you're not actually losing altitude. That's, as you enter the dive. It's also a possibility. The outer bomb pylons are maybe 5 meters apart, so they could land either side of a vehicle, compared to the inner pylons, which will have a tighter spread. This dive pattern works for KMGU cluster dispensers as well. Just press and hold weapon release maybe 1.5 seconds before the pipper hits the target, and keep it down until the dispensers are empty. This may not be a perfect example here, but it got the job done, and though the dispensers couldn't do in these T55s, doing this from higher up of course would give a wider spread. Note in a lot of these examples I've got a 5 meters a second crosswind happening, so the pipper is currently compensating for that as well. You can also wing it without any ranging or lock on the target area. As long as you can reliably gauge 280 meters above the target-ish, set up the weapons power, master arm, gun sight selected and pylon selected. Then as the target slips out of your view under your dashboard, count for probably 5 seconds, then dive down as before. Because of the close range, the 1.1 kilometer default unlased ranging works okay and still compensates for the wind. This is Falk. Hope you have fun. Bring the rain. Cheers.